Hi guys, how are you guys doing today? Hope you guys are well. So, I have a good amount of words for you guys. I want to say something. Yesterday, I posted a little shorts on my YouTube and my TikTok, and I just literally just had to like show you guys basically the roller coaster of emotions that many children of God go through pertaining to like promises that God tells us, right? And how the enemy will play tricks on us, right? And that specific video was mainly like about like kingdom marriages, but I'm talking about in this video in general. Okay, God is amazing, because when I put that little short out last night, early this morning, the Holy Spirit whispered to me in my sleep. He said Mark, and he said the book of John. So he wants me to go through these two books, okay? But this morning I was reading Mark, and Mark 4 stood out to me, and I had to chuckle because I'm like, God, I literally just posted something, explaining like the roller coaster of emotions we go through when we know that we have confirmed something with you more than once, maybe 100 times, and you literally tell us, yes, the prophecy, the promise still stands. But usually what happens is the enemy will try to come in and he will try to steal our seed. The seed is like our promise, like our joy, like, the hope that we have, the faith that we have. The enemy will try to come in and steal what we have in order to make us feel down, in order to make us feel discouraged. Because what happens is when we are discouraged and we no longer feel like we're heading towards something that God has for us, or we feel like it's sabotage, or we don't feel like it's going to happen, it affects our walk, it affects our faith, it affects the way we do things in our day-to-day life, right? And that is what the enemy wants. He wants to steal our joy. He wants to take away our happiness. He wants to take away our light. We are the lamp, but the enemy will always try to come in and dim our lamp. You know what I'm saying? So when I listened to Matthew 4 in the Audible app, and I was reading it as well, I had to chuckle because I knew what God was trying to say. And the words that God gave me for you guys today, which I'm going to try to get them out today as much as possible, they all require you to have faith. They all require you to hold on to the promises that God has told you. Yesterday when I posted that short, I specifically wrote in the comment section, I pinned it, and I said, don't you guys notice that it's always when God shows you a prophecy that connects to a previous prophecy. For example, a continuation of a prophecy he's already shown you. So everyone's situation is different. It's not going to be marriage for some people. For some of you guys, God may have promised you a ministry. God may have promised you a home. God may have promised you good health, that you'll heal. God may have promised you that you will get married. And then for some of you guys, God may have given you a financial breakthrough promise, right? Which is another video I got to post today for somebody, right? So what happens is God will always give you a continuation of that prophecy. So he may show you the reoccurring prophecy over and over and over again, to let you know like, hey, this still stands. But he will also show you a continuation of a prophecy. Let me give you an example of this. So let's just say that the promise that God has given you, the prophecy, let's just say the first time you saw the prophecy, you saw yourself walking down the aisle, or you saw your wife walking towards you, right, in that prophecy, and that was an indication from God, like, yes, you're going to get married to this person, yes, this is your person. So let's just say you wanted to confirm it again with God, and when you went into a fast the next time, the other confirmation is literally like you guys living together now, you guys are cooking in the kitchen together, and that's another confirmation, okay, this is my person. And then let's just say that you want to confirm it again, there's another continuation prophecy. Now God is showing you that you and your partner running a business together, so you're like, okay, these are called continuation prophecies. It's like God is additionally adding on more confirmation for you, confirming the original prophecy by adding on the additionals, by showing you like a continuation of what's to come, right? What happens is every time God shows you, and this, like, and sorry, I got a call. And like I said, that's just like one example. Everyone's situation is different, right? But what happens whenever God shows you a prophecy and you're like so excited and you're so joyful and you're like, yes, it's gonna happen for me, I'm so excited, God, and your whole mood is like pumped up, your day is going wild, no matter what is going on around you, you're just joyful. And then all of a sudden, let's just say that you have this negative dream that is a complete opposite of what God told you. That's the enemy now tricking you, trying to discourage you. Or let's just say someone's doing black magic now because they saw you very happy, so they're doing black magic to mess with your mood. And whatever they told the black magic practitioner is things that they know about you, like they know your triggers and stuff, and now these things are haunting you in your sleep. And then all of a sudden now you start feeling discouraged, like you're like, oh, I don't even know if what God was showing me is going to actually happen because of my circumstances right now, because this is going on in my life, or that is going on in my life, or this is happening in my sleep, or I dream about this. So the enemy will always try to come in to sow and to steal, to sow discord and to steal your seed from you. And God is saying it's so important for us to have faith, and it's so important to us to believe and to continue to believe what he has originally told us, because one, God is not a man that he shall lie, but we have to understand the importance of how things in our everyday day-to-day life, like the distractions, the discouragement, things going around us, and or like the things that the enemy manipulates us with pertaining to like our traumas, how these things can let us go into doubt and can let us drift away from the purpose, from the assignment. And when you are drifted away from the assignment and the purpose, and you are feeling discouraged, people don't understand like how that can literally taint your walk with God. What I mean by that is when you're lacking faith and you're lacking confidence and you're feeling sad and you're feeling discouraged because the enemy came in and tried to steal your seed or steal your joy, what happens is now you're not hearing clearly, now you're not as obedient. And when you're not as obedient, you're not following instructions, that deters you further and further away from where God's trying to take you. Now you're not even in the mood to work on the very assignment that was going to lead you to that promise, lead you to that blessing, because now you're feeling sad, you don't want to work on it. Do you get what I'm saying? So you're kind of like set back now from getting to where you need to get to. And that is like mind games that the enemy plays, emotional mind games. Okay, so I'm going to read you this because God wants you to understand the importance of holding on to your faith, holding on to the promises that he has told you. And no matter what is going on around you, do not let anything distract you, and don't let anything deter you away from the instructions and the assignments that he's giving you, because everything that God gives to you and he implements in your life, best believe it is connected to not only one prophecy, but it's connected to the prophecies, the promises that he has given you. Okay, so I want to read you this. This is Matthew. Sorry, not Matt. Did I say Matthew? I think you say Matthew. This is Mark. This is Mark 4, and this is verse 13. Okay, some people are like seed along the path where the word is sown. So let's just say you are the seed. Okay, as soon as they hear it, Satan comes and takes away the word that was sown in them, which means that God tells you something, God instructs you, or God sends someone to deliver you a message, or you hear a word like you're hearing this word. Satan knows, okay, they just heard the word. Satan knows that he's going to try to put something in your path like a distraction, or he's going to try to send it another person, or he's going to try to manipulate you into seeing something negative or hearing something negative that contradicts the original word that God has given you. And because Satan knows that you are sensitive, and Satan knows that your fear is, what if this doesn't happen? He is going to make sure that he sends in a distraction that contradicts what God already told you, to make you start disbelieving and to make you start doubting everything. And then before you know it, you're lacking faith. So you are the seed, but in order for the seed to grow, it needs to be watered. How is the seed watered? It's not just you watering it you're on your own, because it talks about in this parable as well, like, you know, the seed just sits there, and when the seed sits there, it just starts sprouting on its own. That's faith, that's God. But you have to believe in order for it to start sprouting. You have to believe. That is how your seed is going to be watered automatically, is you having the faith and just complying to God. And God is literally, the seed starts to sprout along the journey. You minding your business and just doing what God told you to do, the seed is going to automatically sprout. And the devil knows that. That's why he tries to discourage you, okay? So then it says here, So basically, if you have doubt, like you hear what God says to you, and then Satan comes in right away and takes it from you. And like I said, how does he do that? He sends distractions. He sends in contradicting thoughts that contradicts what God told you, or people that come in and contradict what God told you, or he sends in doubt. And if you are quick to believe these doubts, you are willingly handing over that word that God has given to you in the hands of the enemy. So basically, that's like you giving away the word, the seed, before it's even sprout. Like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? So I'm going to read this to you now. So it says here, others, like seeds sown on rocky places, hear the word and at once receive it with joy. So it's like, imagine you hearing this video, you're receiving it with joy, you're excited about it, etc., right? And then it says here, but since they have no root, they last only a short time, which means that since you have no faith, since you have no trust, right, and you are not confident in God, it's like you'll be joyful, but it would only last for a short period of time because there's no root. There's no root. Basically, what God is saying is you are easily influenced. No root means you lack of faith, lack of confidence, and being easily influenced, right? And what do I mean by that? When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. So when God gives you a prophecy and a promise, right? And let's just say that you're already lacking faith, you're already lacking doubt. And because people know of this promise, right? They will come in and try to cause problems and obstacles revolving around this promise, if you get what I'm saying. So let's just say that somebody knows that your business that God promised you is going to blossom. And then this person goes and does black magic towards your business so it doesn't blossom, and you are aware that they're doing black magic to you, but because that's happening, now you're frustrated and you're discouraged and you're like, man, I don't even want to fight because this is exhausting, I don't even want to deal with this. You just basically allowed them to succeed and take that word from you, steal that word from you, because you have no root. What do I mean by you have no root? Because you have no faith, you have no trust, you're not relying on the promise that God gave you. You are literally watching the obstacles surrounding the promise. You're watching that persecution that comes because of that promise. So the persecution is anything that is coming up against the promise, anything that's coming up against the word that God gave you. You're so focused on everything that's coming up against the word that God gave you, you're so discouraged. If God did not have anything beautiful in store for you, so if God is showing you that marriage, and you're noticing that as soon as God showed you a prophecy of your marriage, all of a sudden that there's love spells being done, separations and spells being done, there's all of a sudden these counterfeits coming out of nowhere, and all of a sudden there's mocking in the spirit, and all of a sudden all these things are happening. If you're letting all that manipulate you, discourage you, if you allow it to taint you to where you have no more root, okay, they can steal it from you. You get what I'm saying? But what you have to remember is that if what God has for you was not so special and not so beautiful, there wouldn't be any persecution revolving around it in the first place. So just hear me out. If what God has for you was not so beautiful and was not special, and if it wasn't going to happen, and if God was not telling the truth about it, then there wouldn't be any persecution revolving around it. The reason why there's persecution revolving around the word, revolving around the promise that he is giving you, is because it is going to happen. It's because it is real. But you also have to believe it. You have to trust it. You have to know that God's plan for you is to prosper, not to harm you. So anything that revolves around your prophecy and breakthroughs, if you're noticing that there's persecution attached to it, there's obstacles attached to it, it is because it is special. It is because it is from God, and the enemy is trying to prevent you from receiving it. How do you receive it? How do you fight through the obstacles and the persecution, the trials and tribulations? Faith, believing, receiving the word and keeping it dear in your heart and not letting it go. Believing. If that means going into a fast to break the doubt, go ahead. If that means, okay, God, I got to ask you a million times, even though you've already told me, I got to ask you a million times, that's still okay, because asking God a million times does not mean you lack faith. Asking God 1,000 times or 100 times just means that, okay, God, I already believe this, but I'm asking you again because I just want to be reassured to keep my faith going. That's fine. But once you say, I don't believe it, I'm done, I can't do this, I give up, you have given away your word. You have given away your seed in the hands of the enemy and enemies, his devices. And that's not what God wants you to do. He wants you to trust and believe him, okay? When trouble and persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. A lot of people, the reason why a lot of people, you'll notice that success is very hard for a lot of people. And the reason why a lot of people, you don't really see them thriving and doing what they want to do and they're successful, is because whenever God gives you a promise and God says, hey, this is what I have for your life, this is what I want you to do, when people see any type of obstacle and persecution that comes surrounding it, because the devil does not want you to have it, some people are so quick to give up. It says they fall away. They fall away. Like, for instance, that woman you're supposed to marry, you may notice there's so much black magic that is surrounding this woman, but the woman is a good woman, but there's so many people that are around her attacking you. Or that man you're supposed to marry, there's so many people around him that are attacking you, but you know he's a good man, and you're like, man, this makes me want to just give up and walk away. You're giving them what they want. The reason why this is happening is because what God has promised you pertaining to that marriage is beautiful. It is something that is amazing, and it's something that is important in God's kingdom. If it wasn't important, the devil would not waste his time trying to deter you from it. If that job was not important, these people would not be wasting their time trying to get you fired or get you kicked out the workplace. You get what I'm saying? If that business was not important, and that person would not be doing black magic to mess with your business. If your purpose was not important in ministry, there wouldn't be all these people throwing arrows at you. Because remember, Satan cannot divide against himself. So if you're noticing that witches are coming up against you, Pharisees are coming up against you, and they're all on the same team, what does that mean? They're all devices of the enemy, right? So we have to start looking at our obstacles as proof that everything that God has told us is true. And we got to start looking at these obstacles as proof that what God has for us is so great, to the point where it is angering people, it is angering the enemy. And that's how you know, okay? Others like seed sown in good soil. Good soil. So your seed now sown in good soil, which means that you have the roots, which means you have faith. Right? Sown in good soil, you hear the word, okay? You accept it, which means you receive it, and you produce crop. Why? Because you received it, it produced crop. You receiving it, you believing it, your faith is what is watering it. Now it's producing crop. And then some 30, some 60, some 100 times what is sown. So what happens is, if because you have implemented what you have received from that word, the joy that you have for that word, you kept that joy. You had faith in it. And because you have faith and you kept the joy, that crop is not producing another crop, which is producing another crop. Remember I said you could have more than one prophecies. So if God shows you a prophecy and you're joyful about it, you're holding it dear in your heart, you're not letting anybody come and steal it, you're not letting any distractions cause you to doubt it. If you implement the same tactics, the same feeling, the same faith into another prophecy that God showed you, another word. So let's just say, okay, God gave you a business. Okay, you have faith that the business is going to grow because he showed you it's going to grow. You have faith. You're not letting nothing distract you. You are working hard at doing the things that God told you to do. You're following his instructions. No matter what obstacles come in your way, you're not letting it get to you. You're having so much faith. That faith is also going to be implemented towards that marriage God promised you. That faith is going to be implemented now towards the good health that you're trying to receive, or the health that you want to keep. That faith is now being implemented into your financial breakthrough, right? So now you are implementing this faith in every single word that God has given you, every promise. And that is how it's going to multiply. That is how everything is going to be fruitful. Okay? So I want to share this with you guys, similar to how like you're listening to this video. Do not let anything come in and distract you from the word that you're receiving now. Because I have some videos I gotta post for you guys later today, and when you hear them, don't go into doubt right away. You may see the enemy try to throw things your way to kind of contradict what God already told you, but ignore it. Okay, ignore it. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.